You know, some stories, they're so old we just assume they're true. But what if, hiding beneath the surface of the oldest story of all, there's a secret, a conspiracy hidden in plain sight for thousands of years? What if that familiar tale, the one about humanity's fall from grace, isn't actually about a fall at all? What if it was really a declaration of war? A conspiracy against obedience itself? We all know the pieces, right? It starts with a perfect beginning. Then there's the single rule, a line you're not supposed to cross, with forbidden knowledge as the prize. And then the choice, an act not of weakness, but of pure will. The decision to know, even if it means getting cast out. And this is where the story we think we know really starts to fall apart. To really understand this conspiracy, we've got to peel back centuries of tradition, of art, of sermons, and go back to the original text. Because the truth is often hidden in what's not there. And right away, our own assumptions kind of betray us, don't they? We picture an apple, but the text never actually names the fruit. We see the devil Satan, but Genesis, it only talks about a serpent. These are layers of interpretation piled on over time, burying the original story. And get this, even the name of the main character tells you what's really going on. Latam isn't a personal name, like John or Jane. It's a title. It means the human. This isn't one person's biography. It's a symbolic story about all of us. So if the story is a symbol for all humanity, then that choice to eat the fruit, it wasn't a singular sin. It was the original act of defiance. A blueprint for every single rebellion against the established order that would ever follow. This blueprint, this idea of rebellion, it didn't just stay locked away in a mythical garden. Oh no. The pattern erupted right into our own recorded history, creating this hidden lineage of defiance. That first rebellion by the human, it just kept echoing down through the centuries. New figures began to emerge from the shadows of history, picking up the torch from that first defiant choice. You could say they became the heirs to the Eden conspiracy. History has called them a lot of things. Heretics, prophets, revolutionaries. We're going to call them what they are, the successors to the Eden conspiracy. The writers of a new kind of apocalypse. Not one of doom, but of defiance. We're going to look at 4 of them. War figures separated by centuries and empires, but they're all connected by this one powerful idea, that the world as it is isn't the world as it should be. Their stories are the hidden chapters in this long history of rebellion. First, let's go to Sasanian Persia. We meet Mazdak, a prophet preaching something that sounds a lot like, well, radical communism. His enemies, the powerful elite, they twisted his message. They claimed he wanted women to be communal property. But the truth, he was freeing women from the royal harems, an act of liberation that they spun into a story of depravity. Fast forward a few centuries, and we find Babak right in the heart of the Abbasid Caliphate. And from this remote fortress, for an incredible 23 years, he and his followers held off the entire might of an empire. His stronghold became this almost mythical symbol of resistance against impossible odds. And then things get even stranger. We have Mukanna, the Veiled One, a mysterious rebel leader in Central Asia who, get this, never showed his face. He claimed the Spirit of God had passed from Adam to Jesus, and now to him. He wasn't just a warrior. He was a figure of incredible mystique. The legends that grew around him are just unbelievable. They say that to awe his followers and terrify his enemies, Mukanna actually caused a second moon to rise from a deep well, and it just hung there in the sky above his fortress for weeks on end. So what was it? A genuine miracle. A clever illusion using mirrors and mercury, like some have suggested. Or was it something else? The mystery of Mukanna just makes his rebellion that much more powerful, blurring that line between history and myth. And this right here, this brings us to the very heart of the conspiracy. The conflict, these rebels, wherein wasn't just fought on battlefield. The real war, the oldest war, is the war over the story itself. For thousands of years, the Eden narrative was turned into a weapon. I mean, look at this, right here in the New Testament. The author twists the story into a justification for subordinating women. The logic is, because Eve was deceived, all women must be submissive. The story became a cage, and its bars were forged from Scripture. But for every story of control, a counter-story is born. The fourth rider, a mystic revolutionary named Sheikh Bedreddin, he inspired a completely different vision of the world. His followers imagined a community of radical equality, a beautiful, poetic ideal that was a direct challenge to that old narrative of subordination. The powerful tell stories to justify their rule, and the defiant, they tell new stories to imagine a different world. This is the oldest war there is. It's not fought with swords, it's fought with stories. And those stories can either be our chains, or they can be the key to our freedom. And that war of narratives, it's not over. Not by a long shot. It is the fundamental conflict of human history, a chapter that is still being written as we speak. We've seen the pattern. It starts with a choice in a mythical garden and leads to the very real rebellions of Mazdak, Babak, Mukana, and Bedreddin. Each one of them challenged the story they were told, fighting to replace a narrative of obedience with one of defiance. All these stories, the ones about obedience and the ones about rebellion, they are our shared inheritance. They have literally built the world we are walking through right now. So the only question left to ask is, who is writing your story?